Who is this? Let me put it on speakerphone. Luke?
Uh, Ryan?
Yeah?
What's going on?
I don't know.
Well, you picked up the phone like you didn't even know it was me, like there was a question mark at the end. I mean, I'm assuming you have my name listed in your phone as Luke. Hopefully it doesn't say don't pick up or something.
Dude, obviously I knew it was you. My phone said Luke.
Alright, well, whatever. I was calling you to see if you're going to release the rules for the marathon this year anytime soon.
I already did.
Oh, um, I guess I must have missed it.
You already know I did the rules and the guidelines. You asked them if you get them early.
Oh, yeah.
Stop breaking the fourth wall, for crying out loud. We get it. You're clever with your humor.
CP? What are you doing here? Are you at Luke's house? You really do jump from country to country.
Ryan, relax. We just wanted to three-way with you.
I mean, I'm flattered, but...
Three-way call, Ryan. Three-way call.
Oh, okay.
Whoa, 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 wait. What the hell did you think I meant?
Nothing. Just tell me what you guys want.
Luke just wanted to call you to make sure that you were announcing your guidelines so that we could plan our marathons this year.
Look, Ryan, we know your motivation for the marathon hasn't been the best this past year or so, so me and CP wanted to call and reach out and support you and, raise your confidence up. We really want this thing to happen this year.
Definitely.
Well, guys, thank you so much for your support. I'm going to be doing the marathon. In fact, I have recorded this entire conversation so I can include it in the video.
Wait, you put a camera in my house?
He put a camera in your house. Ryan, what the hell's going on?
Hey everybody, Ryan here coming at you with my 7th 24-hour movie marathon challenge. Yes, this is year 7. I was going to start tomorrow morning and I decided to start tonight. I did a lot of napping today. I'm off all week. So I went ahead and just said, you know what, let's just start it tonight. I actually just got done watching a movie, and it was during that movie that I decided I was just going to do it tonight. I'm making a video for that film in a separate video, so I'm not even going to mention what it is. But yes, it is 11 p.m. right now on, what's today's date? Let me check my phone. I got my phone over here. March 11th. Yeah, it is March 2018. I still don't know what I'm going to start out with yet. So basically the way the marathon's going to be this year is I'm starting tonight. I'm going to go through the night watching some movies. And most of the guidelines, my wife is actually going to be joining me when she wakes up in the morning for the rest of the day. We're going to watch all the movies on the guidelines. And she's actually not going to be in the video, but she's going to give her opinions and some thoughts on off camera. And so, yeah, so she'll be putting her 2 cents in the video, and she said maybe next year she'll actually be in the video. So that's awesome. So me and her spent a good couple weeks just thinking about the movies. We filled in all the guidelines. Most of them are movies that we have never seen. Sprinkled in a couple things like a movie I haven't seen since I was a kid, that kind of thing. So I'm very excited for this year's marathon video. Got a lot of cool things planned for cameos, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you guys already know about all that stuff. So I wanted to try to keep the video itself about the films. I didn't want to have a lot of wasted stuff of me just doing stupid random stuff just to do it on film. I'm still going to show, stuff like other than watching movies, whatever I'm doing. But I'm really wanting to concentrate on the films this video, which I pretty much do that anyway, so I don't know why I'm even saying that. So yeah, so tonight I'll be watching some stuff. Probably gonna go ahead and watch my. Every year I always do like an epic length film to start out, and I might do that first, because like I said, all the guidelines will be covered in the morning and onward throughout the day when my wife wakes up. So I just decided to stay up tonight instead of waking up in the morning, doing a marathon all day, then staying up that night, because I slept all day today, off and on. Went out and did some things, napped, because I was out late last night, with my buddy, and I worked all week, so I was exhausted. So I slept off and on today, and I have a good burst of energy. So I would much rather just stay up through the night, since I slept a lot today, and just go to bed normal time tomorrow night. And then I'll be waking up early Tuesday morning to get my car serviced, which is a running theme in my marathon videos. It seems like I always get my car serviced during or after the marathon. So, alright, so let me figure out what I'm going to watch, and then I'll get right back to y'all. Alright, so I picked my first film. I just went over to my Criterion Kino shelf, which is that shelf right here. We're still kind of redoing everything in our living room with all of our new furniture and stuff. So everything's kind of a mess over here in my movie collection area. Those are all movies that I've packed up that I'll be putting upstairs, of DVDs and all that kind of stuff that I don't need displayed. I got clear bins for them, so I can actually read the sides of the bins and see what films they are. So yeah, first is a movie I have never seen before. I've had this Criterion in my collection I've had this Criterion collection in my collection. I've had this Criterion in my collection probably since it's been forever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long. The Killers. Now this has two versions on it. One by Robert Siadomac. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And one by Don Siegel. And the first version came out in '46. It's by the short story by Ernest Hemingway. But I'll be watching the Don Siegel version from '64, which has Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, and John Cassavetes. That is amazing. I don't even know what it's about. So we'll pop it in and give it a shot.
Never mind saying thank you, just gets me full.
Barreling down to the start finish line, which was complete. Certainly the first lap of the race. And then it just
Ronald Reagan.
if you're not on your toes, you don't stay.
Fiber?
Naturally.
I figured she'd be here.
Inhale. Exhale. Do that for about 10 counts. Boy, you sure don't need that. Well, gentlemen.
Alright, well, I just got done watching The Killers, and I just want to go ahead and say that Lee Marvin, you know, he's been one of my favorite actors since I was a kid. And I really picked this off the shelf, not even realizing he was in it. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use this for my favorite actor or actress guideline, just to knock it off. Obviously, there's plenty more films I'll be watching that have favorite actors of mine. But, yeah, this just reminded me, Lee Marvin is such a badass. So, The Killers is about two hitmen that pull a job, and the movie opens with them doing their job, and it's the hitmen are Lee Marvin and this other guy, I forget his name, and John Cassavetes is their target. And so they show up at this like blind school, and John Cassavetes is a teacher there. And they basically show up, and it's kind of brutal. Lee Marvin just kind of beats the hell out of a like a secretary, and it's right off the bat it starts out pretty brutal. And they pull the job, Cassavetes dies, and then Lee Marvin starts wondering, why didn't he run away? This is the first time I've ever actually tried to kill somebody, or killed somebody, and they didn't try to run away or try to do something. He just stood there, and he he just accepted it, and he started like really getting bugged by it. So him and his partner started investigating the motives behind why were they hired to kill this guy, what was going on, and it involves a villain played by Ronald Reagan, and this was actually his last film that he did before he went into politics. I believe, I think this came out in '64. He became governor of California, I'm pretty sure in '67. And yeah, this was the last film he did, a theatrical film that he did before going into politics. And yeah, it's just funny seeing him play the villain. All the movies I've ever seen him in, he's always not been the villain. So it involves, I don't want to like blow it, because basically this movie reminds me of like a Tarantino kind of film. Maybe like a Tarantino, I could see him doing like remaking this movie because of all the twists and turns, and I mean that's kind of cliche to say, twists and turns, but just the style of the movie. It's kind of like a noir, but it has like that same kind of grittiness that Don Siegel has in his films. But yeah, I mean, because the hitmen, they wear like the same kind of clothes, like suits that's in Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if that's like kind of like a throwback or whatever, or an homage. I don't know if Tarantino wanted to do like an homage to this movie or something, but it involves Cassavetes' character, who is in reality, in the past, he was a race car driver, and Angie Dickinson is a woman that he's with, and she's, kind of encouraging him and influencing him to go really, really fast and try to win. And it turns out she has different motives, and she's connected to some people in some way. And the last 20 minutes of this movie is a complete cluster F. I mean, it is so like, it's kind of like the ending of the last like 20 minutes of The Departed. You're just like, dang. And so this movie was a lot of fun to watch. It's been sitting on that shelf for so long, and I've never even thought about putting it in there. Yeah, Lee Marvin, he's been, ever since I was a kid and I would like rewatch The Dirty Dozen and The Big Red One, I've always loved Lee Marvin. In fact, I watched The Big Red One last weekend. Yeah, and I've just always, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, come on. Him as Liberty Valance, he's just a badass. And he's just one of those, like, cool guys. He's like, I don't know, there's only one Lee Marvin. There was only one Lee Marvin. So, now, I don't know what I'm going to watch next. I'm going to get up and get a drink of water. I think I got a Snickers in there that I might try. I'm going to put this movie up so I don't get like a whole stack of movies just piled up everywhere. It's close to 1 o'clock now. This film was only about 93 minutes long, and it really went by pretty fast. It was a pretty darn good movie. Obviously it's not like the greatest film, but will I watch it again? Yes. Very entertaining. Definitely gets a thumbs up from me. And yeah, it was a pretty good movie. Loved it. Alright, I guess we'll see what I'm going to watch next. Alright, everybody, well, I picked out something. It's about 5 minutes later. I picked a film I have not seen in a few years. One of my favorite films between 2000 and 2010. This film came out in 2007, and it is a film that I loved. 2007 was a great year of film, and there's two films that came out that year that I was like, dang, these are like literally two of the greatest films I have ever seen. One was There Will Be Blood. I'm pretty sure that came out in 2007. The other one was No Country for Old Men. and I'm really feeling like I've been wanting to watch this lately, so I'm gonna watch that, and yeah, I'm really excited to put this in the Blu-ray player and watch it again. I don't think I've watched it again on Blu-ray since I've had this Blu-ray. I can't remember. It's been a few years since I've seen this, at least 4 years or so. So let's go ahead and pop this in, shall we? Alright, well, I just finished No Country for Old Men. Oh, I love that movie so much. It is so suspenseful, but so slow moving, and it's just, to me, it's like the perfect paced film for me. I read the book after I saw the movie, and I also listened to the audiobook as well after I read the book. I was pretty obsessed with this movie, book, and I started reading all of Cormac McCarthy's books. This was back when this film came out, because I saw this opening weekend on a Friday. It was like a morning showing. And I remember just being blown away by it. And, you know, I'm not gonna... People have seen this movie by now, but I'm not gonna really give a bunch of stuff away, because I do want to do a video on it one day. Because it is one of my all-time favorite films, and so I'll be doing an actual video on it. But I remember I wasn't mad about the ending, because it does kind of just end, and it has a very unconventional way of wrapping things up, if that's what you even want to call it. I wasn't mad about it. The person who I saw the film with loved it up until the ending, and they just didn't. They just wished the ending was better, and there was something about it. Like and I told them straight up. I was like, "Dude, I don't know what it is. That ending was so different, but there has to be a meaning behind that last scene and stuff." And so I started doing all that, doing my own like little research and stuff, and looking at some theories, and saw some stuff that Cormac McCarthy had wrote, read the book. I was like really into it, and to me, ever since then, I love the ending. I don't think it should have ended any other way. Mainly because I think it's a statement on how we could do everything we can do to control, evil, and, the battle between good and evil, but there will always be evil out there. And I think that there's metaphors behind, the movie is kind of like an allegory for that. It's really not trying not to do any spoilers for this, but yeah, this movie is just brilliant, and it is such a beautifully filmed movie. This is one of Roger Deakins' films. He was so good with this, and I'm so glad he finally won an Oscar for Blade Runner 2049. Well, it's 3 a.m. I don't know what I'm going to watch next. Because like I said, most of the guidelines, other than the one I just already did before, are stuff I'm doing with my wife. Let me see what I could find. I might knock out the guideline with watching a film with somebody connected to it who has since passed away. So I'm going to do some looking around on Comcast On Demand and Hulu and stuff, and see what I could come up with. Let's see. Alrighty, everybody. Well, my internet's acting crazy right now. I mean, it works, but it's like rebooting and all that stuff. I don't want to deal with any of that. So, I'm gonna go ahead and knock a film off my guidelines, and that is to watch a film 170 minutes or more. I'm actually watching another 3-hour movie with my wife, but I'm going to go ahead and use the guideline now for this movie that I want to watch. I've been wanting to watch it for a few weeks now. Because tomorrow, most of the movies we're watching tomorrow are movies I have not seen, and feel like it's the perfect opportunity for me to watch this film. I always like watching this film at night. It's late, early in the morning. I'm awake. There's a little bit of rain outside. I'm gonna watch one of my personal favorite movies. I wasn't even gonna include this in the marathon, but I feel like watching it. The Longest Day. One of the most influential movies in my life. This is one of the movies that I watched when I was a kid that really got me into movies. If I remember, I'll put the link to the video where I talk about war movies, and that'll talk about that a lot. So yeah, this is actually like I think 178 minutes. So, The Longest Day. And I think another reason why I love watching this movie at night is because when I first saw it as a kid, I had rented it from Blockbuster. I'll go into the story right now. I've always been into movies. But in 1997, when my parents got divorced, I retreated into film in a way I'd never done before. I was at my mom's apartment that she was for a brief period of time after the divorce. I'm fast forwarding through some ads on this Blu-ray. And I saw the front cover of A Bridge Too Far, the Richard Attenborough war epic written by Cornelius Ryan, the novel. He also wrote The Longest Day. And I rented it from my mom's apartment complex. In the office, they had like an area where you could grab a VHS tapes and just rent them and then return them. And I saw the front cover of A Bridge Too Far, and I was like, man, that reminds me of all these World War II books that I always read. I've never really watched a bunch of war movies. I've always read about World War II and war in general. I've always been a big history nerd. And so I watched it, and I loved it. And I immediately went to Blockbuster, probably like a week later for the following weekend. And I rented Patton and The Longest Day. And I watched Patton on Friday night. And when Patton was over, I watched The Longest Day. And when I saw both of those films, I saw them at night. It was dark out. So I always have like kind of a nostalgia to watching some of these movies at night because it reminds me of those days when I was getting into war films. Because what started my film loving, like I always loved movies, but like me on a personal level to where I started digging in and really going crazy with looking at films by choice and like seeking out new films was because I started watching a bunch of war films. And then I wanted to start watching films with those actors in those films. And a lot of them ended up being Westerns. So I watched a lot of John Wayne films. I watched a lot of, Clint Eastwood films after watching, Hogan's Heroes, Kelly's Heroes. After seeing the man who shot Liberty Valance, I started getting really into Jimmy Stewart, and that led me to Hitchcock. So like it really stemmed from that about 2 week period where I was hardcore into these war films based on that time period. And so Longest Day is always one I've always gone back to. I've been wanting to rewatch it. I haven't rewatched it in probably close to a year or so. I think the last time I did watch it was last June. I think so. I don't know. I can't remember. But I've been really itching to rewatch it lately. And this is the perfect time to do it because I am wide awake. I'm just really at peace. I'm very comfortable. And why don't I retreat into some nostalgia? And I've told that story in that video, but it really was a hard time when I was a kid. It was a very hard time going through that. My family we all have dealt with that kind of stuff in our family, and it's very destructive to the kids. And I retreated into film in a hard way. And I mean, this is getting kind of personal, but I mean, some of my favorite, like my all-time favorite film, The Godfather. It's also my mom's all-time favorite film, and the first time I ever saw The Godfather was in that, I was 9, and it was in that apartment, and she was watching them, and I watched The Godfather for the first time, and me and my mom really connected over that. She made me cover my eyes at some of the bad parts, and some of the violence. And I became obsessed with that movie immediately. And yeah, that was a really difficult time, but I cherish a lot of those memories, and because film is really what kept me going as a kid through all that. And one of the times that, yeah, this is really getting kind of, it's because it's late at night. That whole year, like, film kept me going, and one of the times that we all reunited, my mom, my dad, during, I can't remember if it was after or during, it was in 1997, we all went and saw Titanic together as a family. And yeah, films just meant so much to me. And so some people might ask, why do you always rewatch a lot of your favorite films? And I'm always like, well, it's because it's like a coping thing for me. It's a nostalgia. It brings me back. It's not just, and plus I love the movies. I've always been one to rewatch films. There's been marathons where I've only watched films that I've owned or seen. And so I've kind of switched the ratio. And so the last couple of years, especially this year, I'll be watching a ton of movies tomorrow that I've never seen. And tonight, I mean, I'm looking at my thing. I mean, I think I'm only watching 2 movies, like this movie and then No Country for Old Men are the 2 movies that I've seen out of all the films I'm going to be watching. But I just love retreating into that nostalgia. It's always been a thing for me. I've always loved it. So, all right, let's start the movie. All right, everybody. Well, I finished The Longest Day, and I started getting pretty tired. So I went ahead and took a little nap, got up, did some stuff, took a shower, did some chores that I was planning on doing today, and so now it's 9:30, trying to figure out what I'm going to watch next. So like I said, we have a list of stuff that we're going to be watching today, but might not start that yet. So either way, gonna have some coffee, gonna eat some breakfast. I'll be right back with ya. Alright, so next up we're going to be watching Bringing Up Baby for a classic I've never seen. Let me see when this movie came out. Did you see when it came out?
1938.
1938. And let's see. Yeah, if I have any other facts, I'll tell you afterwards. So yeah, I've never seen this. She's never seen this. Wait, have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it.
Oh. Well, she's seen parts of it. I haven't seen it at all. And it'll be her first time seeing it from beginning to end. Let's just say that. So, the classic we've never seen. Bringing Up Baby.
When you get out of my car,
Will you get off my running board?
this is my running board.
All right, honey.
Alright, so we just finished the movie. And just real quick, just to kind of sum up what it's about. Cary Grant plays a paleontologist who... I was just talking about how I suck at doing this stuff. He's like...
He's trying to get a grant for his museum.
Yeah, he's trying to get a grant for his museum, and the beginning of the movie is him, like, trying to impress a lady who's gonna give like $1 million to his museum, and he's kind of like a nerd, like a really big nerd, and he keeps running into Katharine Hepburn's character, who she's kind of crazy, and they both just kind of feed off each other and get each other into some really crazy situations. And gosh, I suck at this. This is why I don't do this. I don't. So basically, it's just about their adventures and him wanting to get the money for the museum.
And there's a leopard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a dog.
Yeah, there's a huge part of the plot where there's a Katharine Hepburn's character has a leopard
Named Baby.
Yeah, named Baby. This is like a huge part, and I forgot it. And then there's like a barking dog that keeps appearing out of nowhere and steals a dinosaur bone from Cary Grant. But I thought what did you think?
Oh, I loved it. I laughed a lot. It was very funny. I loved their banter. And they both do kind of like that physical comedy very well, too. Lots of falls and crazy stuff.
They're kind of like, I've actually never really seen I've seen Cary Grant at Goofy and stuff. But I've really never seen him, he was literally it was almost like the first half of the movie was just non-stop craziness.
Yeah, and more stuff keeps happening to him, and he's just a poor little museum nerd, dinosaur nerd. He doesn't know what to do with Katharine Hepburn and all her craziness.
Yeah, he's like a really nerdier version of Ross from Friends. I'm just joking. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was fun. I liked it.
Unfortunately, I'm so tired a little bit that I just keep almost dozing off, and the second half of the movie started getting to me. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I want to look around and see if they have a good edition of it, because it's a movie I definitely would want to own.
Oh yeah, we should definitely own it.
Maybe they'll eventually put it on Criterion or something like that. But all right, so that knocks out another category. And thank you for listening to me through that entire me trying to explain the plot. I'm usually really good at explaining the plot, but I think this time I'm just really kind of... No, I'm not. Not this time. Alright, so I'm going to figure out what I'm going to watch next. It's almost lunchtime, but I'm not hungry yet, so... Alright, I'll be back. Next up, picked up some Jimmy John's for lunch. Forgot my camera, so I didn't film. Next up on our list is... I don't know if it's one of the guidelines or not, but it's a film we've both been wanting to see. I don't know why I have it as a film I haven't seen since childhood, because I've never seen this. But yeah, so that's not this guideline. But we're watching The African Queen with Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart. Alright everybody, well we finished watching The African Queen. My wife just rushed out of here to go do something with her family that they called her about. So the next film I'll be watching myself. Yeah, The African Queen was a really, really good movie. Definitely going to get it on Blu-ray. Basically it's about Humphrey Bogart's character and Katharine Hepburn's character. Katharine Hepburn's character is a missionary in Africa. And it's during World War One, and Humphrey Bogart plays a guy over there that just runs a boat, and he goes back and forth, bringing things to different areas, and the village is taken over and burned down, and Katharine Hepburn's brother, who's the preacher, I'm pretty sure it's her brother, he dies. And so she escapes with Humphrey Bogart, and basically she's like on a revenge kind of kick, but basically the movie is just their relationship and how he's such an kind of a drunk, easygoing kind of guy, and she's so the opposite, and it's so hilarious. And this film was directed by John Huston, and very, very interesting making of. They were, Katharine Hepburn ended up having dysentery during the film because all she wanted to do was drink water because she didn't want to get sick. Humphrey Bogart and a few other people were drinking just scotch and a few canned goods, and they felt like crap the whole time, but they didn't get really, really sick, apparently. And yeah, so it was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed it. And I almost dozed off again a couple of times. Ashley really liked the film too. I'll ask her later how she liked it, but I know she really liked it. So next up, I'm going to watch a Best Picture film that did not win, because I want to watch something familiar. So I'm going to watch something that I know and I love, and I'm thinking about watching Doctor Strangelove. So that's what I'm going to do.
Machine, Deterrence is the art of producing in the mind of the enemy the fear to attack. And so, because of the automated and irrevocable decision-making process which rules out human...
Alright everybody, well I just finished Doctor Strangelove. Man, it's been like over a year since I last saw that film, and I just love it so much. It's definitely one of my all-time favorites. It's so serious, but it's so like outrageous that's what makes it funny. And George C. Scott, oh my god, he steals the show completely. I mean, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, so I don't really need to go deep into it. So there's 2 categories left. Let me grab my phone. Let me see. Let's see. Alright, so film with a favorite actor or actress, Lee Marvin for The Killers, a classic I've never seen. We watched Bringing Up Baby, in memory of someone that has passed away. I was having a hard time choosing that one, so I just included the African Queen in that, because I'm a huge fan of Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, and they're since passed away. I wanted to watch something like, that maybe Robin Williams or somebody was in, but I didn't want to keep adding movies that I've already seen, so I used the African Queen for that one. Film over 170 minutes, I picked The Longest Day. And a Best Picture nominee that didn't win, Doctor Strangelove. So the only 2 that are left are a film that you haven't seen since childhood, and The Flop, from a director that has, great films, and then he had a flop. That is, that's that one. And then the bonus is a silent film or a musical, which I'll knock out later this evening. So, still trucking along. I just spent some time cleaning up the kitchen. My wife got home. I wanted to make sure the kitchen was clean, so I finished Doctor Strangelove and finished cleaning up the kitchen. So everything's clean. Yay! So gonna have dinner in a little bit, and then pop in one of the next couple movies. I already got them picked out, but I'm not gonna say what they are until we're gonna watch them. So, yeah.
Film cans. Mysteriously, sometimes, in the editing room, a miracle happens when you place one image next to another, so that when finally an audience sits... Maestro, maestro. Maestro continui. How do you begin? How do you begin this thing? Page 1. Page 1, page 1.
Alright, well, we just got finished watching 9, which came out in 2009, directed by Rob Marshall. and starring Daniel Day-Lewis as Guido Contini. Wait, it's so weird saying it like that because usually in the songs and stuff it's Guido Contini. So when you say Guido Contini, it just sounds weird. But yeah, we watched this for the flop because Rob Marshall, this was kind of a speed bump for him because he did Chicago and Memoirs of a Geisha before this, and those were successful, and this barely made any money and critics didn't like it. I love it, and you love it too. I mean, we saw it.
Yeah.
Didn't we see it I think we saw it like opening week.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I always wanted to see it because it's the Broadway show is loosely based on 8.5, and we're both Daniel Day-Lewis and musical fans.
Of course.
And so, yeah, watching it again after like a few years, it really sucks that it failed, like really, really bad. I mean, I think it cost like between 60 and like 80 million to make, and it was only made like 15 or 20 million back.
Wow.
Yeah, because people
That
just
is a flop.
yeah.
I mean, I think the songs are great.
Yeah.
They're very catchy, but
It just was. I guess it just didn't appeal to people.
yeah.
It's funny because we were just talking about Daniel Day-Lewis. It's weird that he did a musical because this came out right after There Will Be Blood, and it was the movie he did before Lincoln. And so, like, putting this in there, it's like he did those, and then a musical. And so, like, we were both kind of thinking that maybe they came to him about it, but actually, we read that Javier Bardem was actually the lead, and then he dropped out because of exhaustion. And Antonio Banderas played the role on Broadway, but he wasn't offered a role. And so I was thinking that because the now disgraced Harvey Weinstein and his brother produced the film, and I thought they probably went to him and were like, "Hey, we want you to be in this movie." But it turns out he actually sent a video to the producers of him singing, and they were shocked, and they were like, "Dude, we gotta have him in the lead role." I mean, huge cast, but in my opinion, other than him, the standout is Marion Cotillard.
Oh, of course.
I think she has
My favorite.
I think she has the best songs and the best role in the movie.
Yeah.
And I do remember this being the movie that I really became a fan of hers.
Yeah, she's very great.
Yeah.
She has a lot of range in her emotions.
And last year, for my marathon, I watched that movie she made a couple years ago called 2 Days, 1 Night, which was amazing. And so, just thinking, because I mean, I know she was in, she won an Oscar before, like well before this, but she was in that movie with Johnny Depp. I forgot the Michael Mann movie. I forget what it was called. Oh, Public Enemies with Christian Bale. It was like, she was in that, but like I didn't really know a bunch of. But when this movie came out, that's when I was like, okay, she's awesome.
Was this before Inception?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like the year before Inception. Yeah, so it sucks that this movie's considered a flop. I went online like a little bit before this and was looking at like, even on IMDb and stuff like that, like people, all they do is crap on it.
I mean, I don't know why.
They say
I generally like it. I mean, the only character maybe I don't really care for is Kate Hudson's character.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it doesn't detract from me liking it.
I just don't understand why. I mean, I see some of the people complaining about it. I'm like, I mean, there's musicals that have come out since then that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb here and actually say I actually like this movie more than La La Land.
Yeah.
Which I liked, but I mean, I just think it's just unfortunate. Musicals are really hard to market nowadays, especially when, you can't. I mean, it's really hard to market musicals in general. So, yep, so we knocked off another guideline. And I think I just got one more, and that's a movie that I saw last time I saw when I was younger. And I think I'm going to watch All Quiet on the Western Front. I have not seen this Blu-ray yet, and I have not watched it since I was a teenager, probably, maybe even a little bit younger. And then I think I'll watch like a silent film later or something like that. I don't know, for the bonus. I didn't do the bonus last year, but I'm going to try to do it this year. I was really pretty exhausted for most of the day. Really exhausted, basically falling asleep constantly, having to wake myself up. In this movie, and what did we watch before this? What did I watch?
Doctor Strangelove.
Oh yeah, in Doctor Strangelove, I was awake, and I'm now awake. But man, everything else this morning, I was having a hard time getting through, and that sucked because I loved the movies, like what I saw of them. So like, I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch them because I think I dozed off a couple times for like a minute or two. So, this is where everybody in the comments are like, you cheated, you fell asleep. Who cares? Who cares? You made it this far into the video, you're now going to judge me on that. But it's been fun. It's been fun having you join me too.
Yeah.
Yay! Because I'm sure everybody gets tired of just hearing me.
Well, I mean, usually I'm here silently supporting you.
Yeah.
It.
But I was like, we always talk about it. Let's just go ahead and... In fact, I think... No, I think you offered. I don't know, I forgot.
No, this year you asked me.
Oh, yeah. So, alrighty. So, I guess I'll see you in the next clip. Alright, everybody. Well, it's a little after 10 o'clock, and I've popped in my last film of the guidelines, the main guidelines, and that is All Quiet on the Western Front. I have this Blu-ray digibook that has so much on it, including a silent version, but I'm watching the original version from 1930. I'm pretty sure that's when this film came out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out in 1930. Yeah, copyright 1930. So, this is for my last guideline of a film I haven't seen since childhood. Now, when I saw this film, I've always talked about when I was a little kid, after my parents went to bed, sometimes I would sit out in the living room and watch AMC late at night, and they would show silent films and so on. And that's when I first saw a lot of Chaplin films and Buster Keaton films, and AMC late at night was basically kind of like how TCM is now. And I remember they were talking about All Quiet on the Western Front. Now at this time, I was probably 7 or 8, maybe 9, and it was before my parents got divorced. And I saw this film late at night, and I was floored. I had never seen anything like it. I loved war movies as a kid. I always watched war films, but I don't think I ever grasped a anti-war film, one that didn't glorify war. There's a lot of war films that do that, and I love a lot of those war films, but I had never seen something that actually showed the dark side of war and the emotional side and like all the chaos and hell of war. And so when I saw this, I was floored. I remember it finished around 1 o'clock in the morning or so, and I didn't want to go to bed. I wanted to watch it again. And to be honest with you, I have not seen it since. I read the book a few years later. In 7th grade, we read it in English, and I've owned it on VHS. I owned it on DVD, and now I own it on Blu-ray. And even all those years I had it on DVD, I never rewatched it. I watched like the special features and stuff, but I never got around to rewatching it. So this is a perfect example of a film that blew me away when I was a kid, that I have not seen. I would say maybe 20, 21, 22 years now. So I'm very excited to watch this film and to finish it in my marathon. My wife went to bed. It's almost been 24 hours since I started the marathon. And yeah, it's been great this year. Way more tired than I thought I would be. Or at least during the day I was, because I stayed up last night and I was up all day yesterday except when I was taking my naps. But I'm glad I did it like this. I'm very excited to watch this. I just put it in. The restoration is phenomenal. Obviously, you guys if you're watching this, you know that Universal restored so many of their films, over the past 4 or 5 years or so. And so, like, you've seen a lot of the restoration, featurettes that they show on almost all these Universal 100th Anniversary Collector's Editions. So I've seen the All Quiet on the Western Front restoration images and some of the video, and I was floored and blown away by what they did. I mean, it's insane. So it's almost like I'm watching the movie for the first time. So yeah. I just got done watching the Robert Osborne from TCM, the late Robert Osborne from TCM, do his introduction to the film. So I'm now going to press play. Alright, everybody, well, I just finished All Quiet on the Western Front, and wow, I'm speechless. It was so much more effective than I knew how the film was because when I saw it when I was younger, but as an adult, it was so good. It was such a powerful film. I'm so glad that I finished the marathon on a strong note. Yeah, it was very, very powerful film. That last shot. Oof. Well, everybody, thank you so much for sitting with me and hanging out with me for the marathon this year.